Previously, on travelling around the world in really inconvenient ways. I started my bike. Got extremely wet. Unloaded in the shower. Killed a small animal. This. And this. Got chased by clouds.
Hey Frank, what's going on?
I might get a copyright strike!
And whatever that was.
You're about to see why the hotel was a marvellous idea.
I'm going to ride something like 30,000 miles in I don't know how many days through a lot of different countries. Across Australia from Sydney to Perth, then from South Africa up through to North Africa into Egypt, and then taking the back road round through Eastern Europe, stopping at several places, and eventually landing up in Plymouth, England. I'll be bringing cameras. These ones. I'll be going on my own, so there won't be a cameraman. Everything will be filmed by me. There will also be no support vehicles. I'll be travelling around the world, linking up with myself at the borders. But really, the motorcycle will be on its own.
Well, I think it was the best decision I've ever made to stay in a hotel thing last night, because it literally felt like the roof was going to get blown off. It was that heavy. But nobody cares about weather. All I'm saying is I'm glad that I'm dry now, and hopefully it's going to be dry from here on out. So I'm going to get the ferry across, which will save me a bit of time because I don't want to drive through Melbourne. Maybe this will give you a good idea of what it was like last night, considering all the roads are like this now. Delightful. If I get anything wet after all that, I'm going to be a bit cross. Okay. You good there? Nah.
We always suggest just to stay with the bikes, especially when we're leaving in Perth. It's been a bit rocky today, so...
Okay.
And has it got a centre stand?
Yeah, it does. You want it on that? Alright. You want it between the poles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that, I was banished from the upper deck. So I have to stay here. Anyway, with crap weather following me like a horny dog, I finally made it off the boat and decided that the Great Ocean Road was a good idea. So I did that. Now, even though this is an extremely popular place to visit, if you're travelling west, it's literally the only thing between Melbourne and Adelaide. Which means that once you're done with it, you're going to be bored for a very long time.
This whole tourism thing feels a little bit like when you're a kid at the zoo doing one of those treasure hunts. Everyone's doing it, they're all stopping at the same spots. These cars have passed me about 4 or 5 times because I've been doing it as well. But they'll stop at a place, take a photo, get their clues, and then carry on their journey. It's quite funny to watch.
Anyway, after that, I got a bit bored. Being stuck behind caravans on single-lane roads loses its appeal after a while. So I decided to find a place to stop for the night. And it was about here. So seeing as I've stopped for the day, I'm going to have to do something about this. Because my panny is a bit bent and that isn't closing properly. But aside from that, the bike's going quite well. But I don't care about that right now, because this is my campsite for the day. nobody. As I pack up my crap today, I'm going to be doing something that I'm objectively against. Being sociable. Now, quite a lot of people have emailed me about this trip and offering to help out, which I think is bloody fantastic. And today I just so happened to be passing by very close to where one of them is. So I figured I'd drop by and say hi, because they offered me food, which is always a good thing to do.
This is getting a little bit rural. I think I'm pretty far west of Victoria right now. I've kind of avoided highways a little bit, mostly because I hate them. But the thing that gets you is not the distance travelled, it's the wind chill from all the wind blasting across the really flat ground. It wouldn't be so bad apart from that. And it's weird, when I stop it's really warm, but as soon as I reach an exposed bit of land, it's fucking freezing. And I've just noticed that lovely looking cloud. You had better not.
One thing to point out is that the drive between Melbourne and Adelaide is not one of the most interesting things you're ever going to do in your life. The more rural it gets, the stranger the people look, and the more you have to worry about whether they've had children with their cousins or not. But fortunately, there are a few interesting things to see along the way.
This is Camperdown. It's literally one street, completely straight, shops on both sides, and that's it. And everyone here looks a bit strange. See this guy. Yep, definitely a serial killer. Street drags. Never seen anything like it in my life. It's just a bit of road, on a main bit of road, that they've closed off and turned into a drag strip. And it's just hilarious. Traction control off. It would be rude not to. Whatever that is in the video. Anyway, calm down. You got a long way to go.
Anyway, finally arrived.
Hello. You must be David. Nice to finally meet you.
I'm not the sort of person to show where someone lives on the internet, or do really awkward things like shove cameras in people's faces. But either way, it was nice to spend the night with some really well-travelled people who have been to some of the places that I intend to go to. So thank you, David. You and your wife are fantastic people, and the door's wide open if you end up in Sydney. Plus, you cook excellent sheep. Anyway, amongst other things, I was told of a fantastic campsite, which is about here. And seeing as there's pretty much nothing from Adelaide to this campsite, I decided to lump it 750 kilometres in a day.
As far as cruising goes, this isn't so bad. I've got that mirror set for when I sit upright. That one set up for when I'm lying down like this. Got my Netflix going, because there's absolutely nothing to see or do around here, and it's going to be like that for the next 4 hours or so. I've got my cruise control, which is nothing more than a threaded bit of crap that stops my throttle from closing. And aside from that, I'm just a passenger. I can sit here quite happily doing nothing.
This is where my lack of ability starts to shine through. On a dirt bike or an enduro bike, you just stand up, put your weight back, and steer with the rear. The front doesn't really do anything. And on a massively heavy bike, this works in theory, but only at high speeds. And if you intend to camp on a beach, inevitably, you have to slow down at some point. And obviously, when there are many other people camping on the beach, as you slow down, your bike digs a trench and you slide off to the side, with everybody watching. But I didn't really care, because I was extremely tired and I know that the next day I have to cross the Nullarbor. But that's a story for another episode. A bath full of bees.